I've sent you every aspect of everything in every way that I can. That's that the day can run smoothly. I'm out of your hair after today, okay? So I hope everybody is connected with everyone else. Am I on now? So Anastasia, I just want to introduce everyone to Anastasia, who is going to be hosting the property side. Everyone give her a round of applause. She's doing the property side of the event, and I, because Derek is unable to make it today, I really don't like hosting my own events. I love hosting other people's events, but I don't like hosting my own events. But I'll be hosting the business side, all right? So what we've done today is we've arranged this time to do some photography. Unless you've arranged something directly with the photographer or you have your own photographer, this is freestyle. So what I'm going to be doing, I'll take some photos with Anastasia, and then just people, you just kind of situate yourself. We'll do it in an orderly manner, in an orderly fashion. If it's not your bag, it's not your bag. And then right after this, Cyril, where's Cyril? I saw Cyril. If Cyril, come to the front. Anastasia, come to the front, because these are the hosts for today. So Anastasia, you can introduce yourself. Cyril, you introduce yourself, and then we'll start the photo shoot.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I get used to the miking, so make sure I'm not too loud. It's a good test, hey? Good to see you all. I'm Anastasia. I'm a solicitor, but I'm the CEO and co-founder of a law firm called ILA. That stands for ILA, Independent Legal Advice. For those of you in the property and finance industry, you may be familiar with that term when you're told by a lender to go and get ILA. We're the UK's only law firm that specialises exclusively in independent legal advice, and we set it up 2 years ago. So it's a bit crazy to be here today, only 2 years on, having grown it so big over such a short period of time, and have this amazing opportunity to stand before you all, and what I think is going to be about 600 people. So it's pretty wild. So thank you so much for having me and trusting me to take that responsibility. So lovely to meet you all.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cyril Biko. I'm the manager of the Ilford Business Improvement District. That's a lot of long words for saying, really, we represent businesses in Ilford Town Centre, of which there's about 400. We've been doing that for about 15 years, which is pretty phenomenal. And each year we contribute probably about £450,000 into the economy of Ilford. From our perspective, you're the heart of what drives that economy, and we are so passionate and dedicated to that cause. Part of that, in terms of what we're asked to do, is to drive footfall into our town centre. Pretty simple. So in terms of today, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being gracious co-hosts and collaborators. And we're going to have some fun. We're just going to make it as chilled out as possible and just talk to each other, invite people in, and talk about property, about business, and look forward to the festive season. Thank you so much. Great talking to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Yenny. Nice to see you all. I'm excited for what's happening today. But I'm basically going to be managing everything that's going on in here, auditorium, mics, what you need on stage. I'm your person. So just a quick briefing. So as you know, we're very tight on time. So when you speak, there'll be a timer on the screen there. At the moment, it's green. It says 40 minutes. It will be whatever time you're supposed to have. And when it gets to 0, it will turn red, and that is your cue to kindly exit the stage. What else? So if you're on a panel, you should know the time that your panel starts. Please, can you be here in this front row 15 minutes before your panel starts so that we know that you're ready, we've got everyone, and we can give you the mics that you need. In terms of order, I'll be standing here. Whoever's hosting, so that will be either Anastasia or Anthony. And so they'll host, and I will give you these mics in order, so they're numbered 1 to 5. So whoever has, I'll just give it to you as you come on. Whoever has number 1 will sit here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's just really important so that our sound guys can make sure we're fixing what needs to be fixed at the right person. When you speak, it's really tempting, or like you don't really think about it, and your mic can kind of start to drop here, and no one can hear you. And you can hear yourself but no one can hear you. So it's really important that you hold your mic up to your mouth. Obviously, you don't like kiss it, but just shy of that. Another thing is, yeah, so just in terms of like etiquette or speaking on the stage, it's a discussion. So like try and keep your responses brief, allow everyone time to answer, try not to kind of go into like giving a speech, because obviously it's tempting, you're excited about what you're talking about, but remember it's a discussion, it's open. And also like be encouraged to like positively challenge each other's opinions. Like don't feel like you need to agree with what everyone else is saying. And after the panel discussion ends, there will be questions from the audience as well. So kind of be prepared to answer or volunteer if anyone asks you something. Yeah, that's it.
Could I just have all of the people that are speaking on main panels on the stage, please, that we can get some photos? Everyone that's speaking in a main panel, not the workshops, but speaking in the main panel. Make sure you get something with Anastasia and also with, and then everybody else, this is the time. This is the time. You can get your photos, situate yourself in front of banners. And we will be running for the next 15 minutes. And then we will move over to Cyril, and Cyril will be doing a welcome. Sue? Sue, do you guys want to get some photos? Chris? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All right, so what we'll be doing now, if everyone can come off, and if anybody's trying to get some photos with someone, then arrange that, get whoever you brought to do your photography. We have about another 15 minutes. So utilize all the space to get your photos, make your arrangements, do what you got to do. Still behind it.
It's fine, that's fine. I just need it for my bit, so it's there.
Yeah,
so
I didn't move it.
It's like my speaker notes and stuff. Please don't take them.
Anthony, do you want to take the photos again with this light, which is better? Before we didn't have this.
Yeah, we'll do
light.
some more.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the group.
Oh, okay, no, exactly. No, with you. I mean, the one that you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take some now. Scott, let's get a photo.
Hello. Come on, you can do better than that. Hello. How are we doing? Welcome to the East London Business Expo for 2024. There we go. That's this kind of noise I like to hear. I'm going to be here for about 15 minutes, so we got a lot to get through. My name is Cyril Biko, and I'm the manager of the Ilford Business Improvement District. I mentioned that a little bit before, but I'll explain a bit more about it as we go along. The main thing you need to keep in mind is we represent businesses in Ilford Town Centre, and what they're asking us to do is to market Ilford and drive footfall in. More footfall, more spend. Fairly simple. Moving on from there, I'd like to thank a young man who I think has just walked out the room. Does anyone know Anthony Lindsay? Yeah? Okay. He's organized all this, so a round of applause for Anthony, even though he's not here, for putting on a stellar show. This is phenomenal. It's putting us all together to network, to talk about what is more important to us. And from my point of view, please, today, take that opportunity. Take the opportunity to speak to people you don't know. Take the opportunity to meet businesses you've not networked with and follow through. You never know. Maybe 2 months from now, 3 months from now, a year from now, that contact may become useful. So let's do that. On top of that, there's going to be a couple of QR codes showing up in a minute. They are related to the Welcome Center Welcome Project. There is a welcome walk happening pretty soon, and we're looking to raise about 5K. Phil, are you here? Wave. Yes. We're doing it for that gentleman there to support the homeless community in Redbridge. And please do scan the QR code and give as passionately as you can. What a phenomenal venue. City Gates Church, City Gates Conference Center. I mean, what a plush place to be. We would like to say a bit of a thank you as well to Pastor Stephen. I haven't seen him today, but if any of you know Pastor Stephen, such a great guy, totally devoted to giving back to the community and being a dedicated member of that community. So a big thank you and a round of applause to Pastor Stephen. Really appreciate all your support. Right, so moving on very quickly. Next slide, please, if you wouldn't mind. That's what I'm going to be saying a lot of, so you'll kind of have to keep up with me. I'm also going to be talking at you a little bit and then asking you to talk with me. Otherwise, this can be very daunting and very boring. So, what do you think, in terms of the UK, that people are thinking about in their households? What is on their minds? Think economically. What are they thinking about when they think about their pockets? What's on their minds? Give me something. Have I got enough? Good one. Okay, anything more specific than having enough? You can take a guess, it doesn't matter. No answer will be wrong. Utility bills, perfect. So, statistically, and you can find this anywhere, especially on the latest Sensoramic survey, most people are thinking about the NHS. They're worried about their health and well-being, and they're thinking, will the NHS be around to support me? What's next from that? Any guesses? What that young man said there. Cost of living. They're worried about how they can get through this current economic situation. Next up, the economy. Very much on their mind. Something's coming at the end of October. Who knows? Something's going to be red. Starts with a B. Budget. People are worried about that. They're thinking what's happening. The other thing is safety. Crime. People are worried about when they go out there, out of their homes, will they be safe? Especially when we're asking them to come to little lovely town centers like ours. Will they be safe? Another one, climate change. Very topical. People are worried about that, thinking what do they need to do? Thinking more centrally, what have we seen the last couple of years? We've seen the Body Shop close. We've seen Wilco risk. And very lately, you would have heard of a company called TGI Fridays having a bit of a risk warning and being bought out, saving about 51 stores. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. In terms of retail specifically, it's shoplifting and crime. Last year, 430,000 incidents were reported about ASB. If you worked in one of those units, you must be thinking, oh my God, that's a lot to get through. Next slide, please. So that sort of sets the scene to talk about what people are doing in terms of trends. What are we seeing that people want to be getting involved in? In terms of the UK, footfall, I'm glad to say, year on year, it's improving. That's a big deal. Each of us kind of has a figure on our heads in terms of what we will spend based on what area we're in. It's there. But it all matches with the footfall that's driven in. So, in terms of who's doing the best, retail parks are doing phenomenally well. They're the destinations that more often than not, people are going to and getting their shopping done. So they're getting the most of the footfall. Next up, high streets. That's where we come in as well. We're benefiting from the footfall. It's been a bit up and down, and that's very similar to shopping centers. But in the main, people are visiting. Beyond that, what do you think when you go onto a high street and you're just looking at people? Do any of you ever pause to just look at not just the footfall, but is anyone actually carrying a bag? Have you ever done that exercise? Not that you would. I mean, you would be a bit weird to do it. I mean, I know I do it. But any of you ever done that? That's what we call the conversion rate. So you're just not looking at the people who are coming in. You're also looking at what they're holding. Have they actually bought something? And that's kind of weird because in terms of where we are, compared to 2023, the conversion rate has actually declined. People are spending a lot less in terms of their own safety. They're doing a lot more saving. In terms of average transaction values, that's also fallen. In terms of spending in retail shops, that's also fallen. Now, all this leads to you to think what may be driving that. Starts with an I most of the time. Inflation. Over the years, we've all been hit by higher prices, and we're changing the way we sort of react to selling, buying, all that stuff, which sort of changes our behavior slightly. Next slide, please. So, looking at shoppers, and we are all shoppers, anyone not shopping at all would be really weird. So you either shop online or in a physical store. What do you think some of the new behaviors are that we're seeing? What are some of the things that we're picking up that people are doing more of? Now, think specifically towards the next couple of months. What's coming up? What's coming up? Christmas is coming up. If I were to ask any of you, what's your viewpoint on what you'll be doing this Christmas? Have you given that any thought in terms of, will you spend more? Will you spend less? Will you spend about the same? These are things people are thinking about. Why that's important to people like ourselves? Because we run businesses. We want to know that going forward, will people come into our outlets and buy, purchase? So, throwing it out there. Anyone want to take a punt? What would you like to stake your name to the claim and say, I'm going to spend more, I'm going to spend less? You're going to spend more. Okay, great. That's really, really quite interesting. So there was a survey done by Sensoramic, and 36% of the respondents said, based on the current economic situation, it's not going to affect their spending pattern. That's actually 9% more year on year. So we have more people saying they're not going to change, or the economic situation is not going to change their spending pattern. That means for me, there's the opportunity to get those people to come and shop, either online or in our stores. Overall, there are 49% of people who are committed to spending less this Christmas, which is a worry. However, that is 16% less than last year in terms of people who were committed not to spend anymore. So once again, there's more appetite out there for people to go out and spend, which is a phenomenal amount to hear about. It's a figure, average UK spend, for what people will actually shell out over Christmas. Per person, the budget is £496. Would any one of you like to spend £500 in your business? Would you like someone to spend that? There's roughly about 50 people here. If we all spend £50, that's a big figure. But what we need to figure out is when that spend's going to start ticking in. So, would you be surprised to learn that 54% of people are inclined to start spending now, much earlier than getting to Christmas, to shop for their Christmas shopping? Get rid of it early. In fact, 21% of shoppers started shopping in September for Christmas. So that's already happening. Another 26% are going to start shopping for Christmas in October. 30% will do that in November, and 13% in December. So when you're planning out a strategy of what the spend should be or what you would like to attract, bear in mind that 77% of people would already have done their Christmas shopping way before December. So that is where we need to start thinking, what exactly do we need to do to take advantage of all that footfall? Next slide, please. In my opinion, it boils down to two things, red or blue pill. Either you're online or bricks and mortar, coming into the stores, touching and feeling stuff, getting a view of what you want to do. 75% of people would actually like to go into a retail outlet, a bricks and mortar outlet, compared to online. That's surprising, isn't it? You hear a lot of news about people liking online and wanting to be online. They do, yes. Based on the same survey, based on the age ranges, another 73% wanted to be online. However, there is a shift to wanting to be in a retail outlet, enjoying shopping. Some of the motivators are mainly being able to make shopping an experience. That is a major driver. And on top of that, we're also seeing that people want to make sure that they can touch the products that they're buying, and that really resonates with them. Also, funnily enough, people want to avoid delivery charges. They want to save a buck. So they're really looking at making sure that they can look around for deals, get a sense of what they feel like, and then save on the prices. What's great for people like me is we represent a lot of small independent businesses, and from our surveys we can see that 38% of shoppers will actually want to shop in an independent, which is a phenomenal bit of news. Next slide, please. Black Friday. Raise your hand if you're thinking about shopping this Black Friday. Just a handful, which kind of backs up what I'm about to say. Raise your hands if you're going to do that shopping in either online first. So you're going to do that online, shop Black Friday online there. Who's going to go into a physical store to shop Black Friday? A few there. Okay. Very, very weirdly this year, only 6% of people are actually looking at Black Friday as the opportunity to start shopping for Christmas. Only 7% are also thinking of using Amazon Prime Day as a reason to start shopping for Christmas. However, 49% of shoppers will be using business outlets, physical outlets, to shop on Black Friday. So that's a lot of information to unpack. Now, I've gone through that mixture with you just to give you a sense of understanding where we are, and I'd like to tell you what we're going to do. So, rolling on. We're going to be delivering a series of events. They're going to start right from October all the way to December. We're going to have a food fair in October, a light switch on, light celebration for Diwali in November, and we're going to have a big Christmas celebration on the 30th of November, all physically on the Ilford High Road, bringing people in. We want to look at managing the cost of living crisis, and most of the stuff that you will see on there will be about 70% free. We know that when people come in, they spend on average between £33 and £50. So on average, you're going to get about a spend of £58. We're bringing in, next slide, please, if you wouldn't mind. Next slide again. We're also bringing in a festive market for the first time ever. That's going to be on Ilford High Road, with about 5 chalets between the 14th of November and the 7th of January. Next slide. On the 30th of November, we're bringing in our Christmas lighting celebration. That's going to feature an event between 12 and 7, where 70% of what we're offering on the High Road and also in the Exchange Shop Center and Mercato will be absolutely free to people to attend, enjoy, get it to know the town center, and have a fabulous time. Next slide, please. You will see things like funfair rides, Batman's Batmobile, stage performances, 2 fireworks displays, and we know if we work hard enough, we will get about 15 to 17K worth of footfall. Next slide, please. With that said, we would like to bring in some light structures. So this is going to be on the Ilford High Road from the 2nd of November. It's going to be there up until the 7th of January. You're also getting a brand new Christmas tree, which is going to be a meter higher, almost 9 meters tall. And we're also bringing in a new light feature. Next slide, please. Which is going to be 3 golden arches, triangles, which will be in the town center. And we are really looking for people to come and enjoy the town center to the best of their ability. Why are we doing this? If you wouldn't mind, to the next slide, please. We want to see the sky lit up like that on the 30th of November. It's going to drive footfall in. Next slide. If we do our jobs very well, we will end up with that picture. Loads of people coming into the town center and enjoying the place in which we all live, work, and play. Next slide. If we do all this very well, there's a couple of things that are headliners. We estimate, based on the people that come in the footfall, the high road alone will get about £986,000. The rest of the town center will get about £1.3 million. As a whole, we're bringing in, on one day, £2.3 million into the local economy. Next slide. That's been a very quick whistle-stop tour of what we're about and what we're trying to achieve. Very simple. Understand what the demographics are saying, understand what the stats are saying, and work towards driving footfall in with some amazing events and marketing, which is just simply saying, come to Ilford. There's tons free. We've got great businesses. We've got great people. And when you come in, we'll make you feel welcome. And we want you to spend a buck or two. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand over to our next guest. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Cyril. And Cyril and Ilford Bid have been continuous supporters of the Expo. First and foremost, I just want to thank everyone for being here. We're going to be introducing Kate, but there's a couple of things that are very important to us, and we'll be talking about them throughout the day. Now, who here has been to like an expo or a conference, and you go the whole day and they get you hyped up about something, and then at the end of the day, they're like, and we have this once-in-a-lifetime offer that is usually £10,000, but today it's just £100. Who has been to an event like that? I do not like those type of events, so I'm going to front load what we're trying to actually do for you. So there's three main things that we want to talk to you about today, and I'm going to introduce Phil. One of the things that we're doing today is we are going to be talking about a 10-mile walk that we're doing next Saturday. It's to raise money for healthy living projects and the Welcome Center. Phil has a space downstairs, so you will be able to donate, and in 90 seconds or less, or 2 minutes or less, he's just going to cover off what it is, who they are, etc.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it's really exciting for us to be here this morning. I hope you're excited by what's going to happen today. But very quickly, I represent the charity Healthy Living Projects, and we have a day centre which is at the other end of the Ilford Town Centre. You may have driven past it. It's on Green Lane at the top end there. And basically, we run a day centre for homeless people. I'm sure you'll be aware if you live locally that Redbridge, like a lot of boroughs, has a problem with homelessness. And we seek to provide a very practical response. So when people come to our door, they can get something to eat, they can get somewhere to shower, they can get some clean clothes, they can get their laundry done. But more importantly, we allocate a support worker who will sit down on a one-to-one basis with any of our clients that don't have a permanent place to live, and they will work through the issues to try and get people back into accommodation, off the streets, into accommodation, and then go on to deal with some of the issues that led them to become homeless in the first place. So that's what we do. As Ramord said, next week we're going to be out on the streets doing a sponsored walk. It's about raising funds, but it's also about raising awareness of what those issues are, and we're going to be seeing some of the facilities in Redbridge that support homeless people. So we're going to try and raise £5,000. We've started slowly, but today we're hoping that everybody's going to scan that QR code. It's going to take you to a Just Giving page where you're able to donate. Any donation would be welcome. If it's £5, £10, £50, anything would be welcome, and it will be well spent. It will be spent on relieving the effects of homelessness, which are devastating. But I'm going to leave that with you guys. Please do support us, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, thank you. So please scan the code. I'm going to invite Kate to the stage. She's going to be giving some valuable information. So for those of you who take notes, take notes. If you use paper, use paper. If you use your phone, use your phone.
Anthony, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. How are we all today? In fact, I've got written on my sheet here, the very first thing I said was do take notes. So this morning, we're going to be running a workshop called Website Gold. It was originally going to be upstairs, and then they said, do this on the main stage, and gave me a microphone. I love using my hands. When I do this, and you can't hear me, wave at me madly. So if anyone does want to take notes and hasn't brought a notepad and pen, there's a box on the corner of the stage. It's got notepads and pens in it. They're not the fancy marketing ones. It's just fairly ordinary pieces of paper, so don't get excited about it. But if you do find you want to take notes, please do come. There's a pause point coming up. You can come and grab a notepad, grab a pen, so you can take notes for yourself. So, next slide, please. What are we covering today? I'm going to go through a few things about websites. This is all about your website. And if you're a new business thinking, I need to write my website, this is perfect for you. If you've already got one, there's going to be loads of nuggets of information that will be helpful to you as well. So we're going to go through planning principles, things you need to think about before you make changes or before you make a start. We're going to think about what pages you might need. I'm going to go through the anatomy of a home page. It's the most important page on your website. I'll talk you through a structure for that. We'll touch just briefly on maintaining your site. And I know Anthony said he doesn't like them, but there is an exclusive offer for you today. It's not a, here's a £5 million offer. It's a good deal more affordable than that. But first of all, who am I? Next slide, please. Where is it? Next slide. Oh, that one. Who am I? My name is Kate Caruth. My business, Creative Words, was founded in 2017. I just took a leap of faith, quit my job, and just went for it. It was the best decision I ever made. We write stuff, content of all kinds, anything from really short things. I have written someone 60 seconds for a networking pitch before. Right the way through, I'm currently helping someone write a book. So from the very short through to the very long. And that includes websites. We write websites. I am also a crazy cat lady. It's the cat that's crazy. So if you ever have a video conference with me, you'll see her walking across my screen, stepping on the keyboard, cutting off the call, and doing other equally entertaining things. Next slide, please. So that's who I am. Let's start by talking about planning. The most important thing to remember is always plan and always think about who your website is for and what matters to them. Don't you write your website about you. Next slide, please. So who is the first and most important question? Know who your customer is and understand their journey. Lots of people think about the customer journey. Anyone ever heard the acronym AIDA? It's a marketing acronym. It means awareness, interest, desire, action. And they call that their customer journey. That's the journey to someone becoming your customer. Don't forget the rest of their journey right the way through to the very last time they ever buy something from you. That could be 10 years. And your website can help you right the way through that process. So once they've become a customer, then what? Once they have purchased for the first time, what do you want to do next? Can you send them to your website to gather more insights, more information? That kind of thing. So what I want you to do is we're just going to take a slight pause point. Next slide, please. And we're just going to think about your customer journey. That's why you should take notes. Because otherwise you'll write down customer journey and you'll have no clue what to do with that after this session. So for 2 or 3 minutes, just sketch out your own customer journey. I did say you'd have to do some work, didn't I? Okay, have we got a few ideas? At least for parts of your own journey. That will just be something that you can then take and work on when you get home. Next slide, please. The reason the customer journey is so important is because what that is doing is helping you figure out what pages your site most needs. So here are some of the kind of the key pages, the must-haves, if you like. Your homepage. Now, your homepage will vary depending on the kind of business you have. If you're a typical services business, you'll have what's called a brochure website. Your homepage will be a summary of everything else. If you are in e-commerce, it will probably be your leading product, your most popular product, and the link to the shop. If you're an artist, it might be a portfolio. If you're in the property development space, you might very well have listed properties. You might have what's called a plugin, something plugging in that actually shows properties listed, that kind of thing. The About page is the second most visited page on a website. I'll say that again. The About page is the second most visited page on a website. That doesn't mean it is the second page people go, but they will keep going there to check you're the kind of person they want to work with. It's also one of the most neglected. People throw one up when they start their business and never look at it again. So the About page is really important. A Contact page is also something you must have to make sure people can actually get in touch with you. And then these last two at the bottom, the privacy policy and the terms of use, they don't sound very exciting. Any data protection specialists in the room today? No? See if you can track one down. They're actually mandated. They're part of the Data Protection Act. You must have a privacy policy on your website. If you don't, it's non-compliant. In theory, the Information Commissioner's Office could fine you. So they're not difficult to put up. There are templates out there, but do make sure you've got the one. Next slide, please. So here are some other pages you could have on your website. Services pages, you might have a shop if you're in e-commerce, blogs, news, case studies, some kind of an insight piece. When I say special information, some people like to have downloadable documents for clients. They might like to have things like, if you go to larger companies to get ideas, you'll see they sometimes have things like anti-slavery policies, all of those kinds of information. You might have a booking page if you're a therapist or a clinician, or you want to start people off with a call. You can have a page for people to make a call. You can think about recruitment if you are a growing business and you want people to come and join you. And you can also have possibly a customer portal so that your customers come to your website to access information. You see that with accountants quite often, where they might have their plugged-in customer portal for you to upload your documents so that when it comes to tax time, they've already got everything and you haven't got to hunt. Next slide, please. So we're just going to spend a minute on this very quickly. Jot down, going along your customer journey that you've sketched out, which pages might you put on your website to support them? Next slide. And in doing that, and thinking about your customer journey, there's a few other things that you can then start to build out on that plan from there. What's the key message? By key message, I mean if only one thing is taken away from that page, what is it? What do you want them to think or feel or do? And if it's a do kind of a thing, you want to have a call to action. Do we know what I mean by a call to action? It's the big red button. Book a call. Speak now. Download this document. That's called a call to action. The thing you want them to do. So you know what that call to action is for every page as you plan them. Think about how you help them identify with working with you. Here's an example. I have a client. He is a keynote speaker, but he's also a life coach and works one-on-one. So on his keynote speaker page, he has photographs of himself standing in front of huge audiences. And therefore, anyone looking to book him for as a speaker can say, yes, I can see him standing on a stage talking to my people. When he's on his coaching website, the photographs are him sitting in small groups, speaking one-on-one with people. So people who want to work with him as a coach go, yes, I can see myself sitting with Pete and working with Pete. So anything you can do, images are really great for this, helping people identify themselves working with you. The content doesn't need to be perfect for you to go live. If you wait for it to be perfect, your site will never go live. And you don't have to have every page for your site to go live. Think about how you want it to be structured as well. Do you want a single services page or a summary page and then sub-pages sitting under that? This is all about planning those pages. But also remember, you have to maintain this site. If your initial plan says, I'm going to need 350 pages, you will never keep all those 350 pages up to date. And therefore, what I would suggest is you might say, okay, well, let's just start with 10. I can do with 10 to begin with, and then maybe I'll build from there. Okay? Next slide, please. So we're going to go through the anatomy of a homepage. What do I mean by that? I'm going to actually go through the sections. Starting at the top and working to the bottom, what should you put on your homepage? Next slide, please. Here's the scary piece of information. You have 7 seconds from the time someone clicks the link to come to your site for them to decide whether they want to stay. So your job is to do everything you can to encourage them to remain on your website for longer than those 7 seconds. And that means if it takes 4 seconds to build, to actually load the thing, you've already lost them. They will have left before you've even loaded your images. We have got a couple of people downstairs who look after websites, so if technically your website's taking ages to load, go have a chat with them about speeding up the load times on your website. There's loads of really helpful tips on that. And the most important thing when you're trying to encourage people to stay with you is to remember they don't care what you do. And let me give you an example. Next slide, please. Compare and contrast these two. We're brilliant accountants, and your finances taken care of. So the one on the left goes, okay, I Googled for an accountant, I found an accountant's website, good job me. The one on the left, the one on the right makes you go, thank God I need to talk to this person. See the difference? Next slide, please. So your job on the very top section of your website is to engage. Do not use the word we. In fact, the ratio between the number of times you say you, talking about somebody else, and the number of times you say we should be 3 yous to every we. Do not we all over your website. So we have what's called a slider on our homepage, and therefore this message changes. But can you see how it's saying building your skills, helping you? So someone will go, okay, I need training, this is a place to be. Next slide, please. So the structure of that about page, we have the headline and the text, which is what you just saw in that image. Explain why you're the right choice for the person who's come here. And don't be afraid, by the way, if you're, let's take our accountant, if you're an accountant who only works with the construction industry, it's absolutely fine to say that. Because if somebody who is not in the construction industry comes and goes, this isn't the right accountant for me, everybody's saving their time. You don't want inquiries from people you don't want to work with, so don't be afraid of saying that. Make sure you talk about benefits. Benefits to them of working with you. Your finances taken care of. Less stress, less pain, less angst. You know, are you sitting up at night doing the accounts? Did you go into business to do paperwork? No, of course you didn't. All of those kinds of things. And they really help you to get clear to that person who visits your site that this is why they want to be here. Next slide, please. Have a call to action above the fold. In fact, have a call to action at every section of every page. When you're looking at your own website, if you scroll on a phone or on your screen and you can't see a button, you haven't got enough calls to action. Now, there are clever technical tricks. You can have what's called a floating header. So a floating header travels with the text, so it's always visible on the page. That's one way of not having to put hundreds of buttons on the site. They're a bit tricky to maintain. But always make sure calls to action are visible. And they can be anything. It could be a book now. It could actually just say, learn more. And in fact, we say that quite a lot on a homepage. Now, what do you suppose comes just after that? Anyone want to make any suggestions about what you put after that first opening, engaging section? Anyone awake? Go on, give me a suggestion. What would you put next on your website? Very good. Next slide, please. The very next thing you put is proof. You have just said, we're going to take care of your finances. No stress, no pressure. What you now want is a series of testimonials that tell people that. Let's face it, if you're buying on Google, you'll always check the reviews. It's the biggest mistake I see when I'm reviewing other people's websites, is that they put their testimonials too far down the page, or not on the homepage at all. If your job is to keep people on the site and make things as easy as possible for them, don't make them hunt for anything they really want to know. So, above the fold, engage them. Next, give them proof. Really be proud about what you do. Now, if you're a brand new business and you haven't got testimonials right now, start gathering them right away. Even if you're only doing free sample work at the moment, do it in exchange for a testimonial, because that will really help you and it will really help build your credibility so that people come to a website and go, oh, yes, great. Next slide, please. Okay, now we talk about the how. You've talked about your finances taken care of. So what do you offer? And I'm talking about an accountant because it's a nice, easy one that most of us understand. So you might say, tax advice. And then a little headline about why that's useful. Making sure you pay the right amount of tax, but not a penny more. You might say, company accounts. Getting all of those reports in on time to HMRC. Payroll, taking care of paying your staff so that they can again identify with who they are and what they do, and what you do to support them do what they do. And again, a call to action. Now that could quite easily be, because you don't want a lot of content on your homepage, it's a summary, it's the quick skim. That could quite easily be learn more for each of those different services, and you take them to those different sections. And that's absolutely fine. Learn more is a perfectly good call to action because it's keeping them with you, it's keeping them on the journey. Next slide, please. More testimonials. Prove that the services you've got deliver the right things. So that's the next piece that goes through. And again, you could then have a call to action of go and read more of our testimonials, or go and see our particular services that are being referenced in the testimonials. Next slide, please. And then, and only then, do you talk about you. So this is the first place where we is okay. You're talking about who you are, but talk more about values and the kinds of clients you're looking for, and less about when you started the business and what the business does. All of that extra content, the history of the business, all of those good things, you put on your About page. And again, your call to action is go to the About page and find out more. But on that About page, have your company values. Have a bit about your team. Have a bit about what's important to you, the kinds of clients you help. Quite a clever trick. If you're struggling to figure out what you put on your About page, you can take a look at my website. We've got something called an interview with Kate. And it's simply a whole series of questions and me answering them as me. It's quite personal. It's quite a nice way of doing it, but it's a comfortable way for people to get to know who you are. Next slide, please. Bad news. Your website is not once and done. Next slide, please. Do not just go, right, there it is, great, job done, fantastic, let's go on and play with some other marketing. Remember that you need to factor in change. Things change. Your business will change. Mine changes all the time. The services I offer, the clients I'm working with, your services change, your target audiences change. Maybe you started off as a coach working with anybody who had issues with anxiety. And then you discover what you're really good at is helping women who are anxious work in the workplace. That's a really fundamental change in your target audience, and your website needs to reflect it. Your team changes as well. I started as one person. I now have 12 writers, 14 editors, and 2 people who help me with setup. So every time someone joins my team or leaves my team, I have to maintain those sections of the website. And if your information is out of date, you are sending one of 2 simple messages. Number 1, I don't really finish what I start. I shove something up and then I just kind of leave it. Or it says, yeah, not really trading anymore, gone out of business, and this website's just kind of sitting there. Either one of those will get someone to go, oh, right, I need to be looking somewhere else. Besides which, Google loves it. Google ranks websites based on how often they're updated. So if you go in and you're changing things and you're adding content and you're tweaking things, it's helping with your ranking on Google. So what I would suggest you do, next slide please, is that you have a regular maintenance plan. Something that helps you do all of those things, like a checklist that helps you do all the things that really matter. You must make sure you're updating the site, the platform it's on, anything that you've got plugged into it. All of those things have to be updated kind of in the back end of things. If you've got someone looking after your website, check that they're doing this for you. And you want to make sure you're backing it up. If you think about your website and think about how long it takes you to build it, that's how long you're going to need if the whole thing goes crashing down and you've got to start again. If it's backed up, you may only lose a week, 2 weeks worth of information. So make sure that all of that technical stuff is taken care of either by you or by somebody else, and it's done at least once a fortnight, because then you know you're okay. And then with every page, what I do is about once every 3 months, each of my pages is checked. Now, I don't do them all in one great big batch. I just do one a week, one a fortnight, and that gets me through every pages in a cycle of about 3 months. And all I'm doing is I'm skimming it and just making sure it's still relevant and still up to date. And if it needs changing, I change it. And I also do spot checks. What I mean by spot checks is, do the links still work? Does that call to action button still download the document you meant it to? Because all of that stuff goes wrong really quite easily. Send yourself a contact form entry. Does it reach your inbox? Because that changes all the time as well. The email service providers change their rules on what can get through your mailboxes. Is it all now landing in junk all of a sudden? So just make sure that your website is functioning as it should. Next slide, please. All of this you can build in to your normal business operations. You have a checklist or a reminder to go and check things on the website. You might have regular processes to gather testimonials. As you close down a client, for example, maybe you send them an email. If you've got an automation tool, you can just ping them an email. that says, you've been working with us for 3 months. We'd love to know what you think. When staff join you or leave you, you can build it into your onboarding processes. And make sure that things like news, business information, stuff that's happening to you as a business is getting picked up. Anything you're putting on social media that's newsworthy about your business, you can be putting onto your website as well. Next slide, please. So that's kind of the basics. It's a bit of a gamble through. So apologies if your head's spinning slightly at this point, because I know that it can do. And I did mention that there was a special offer. Next slide, please. So everything I've shared with you today comes from a training course called Website Gold. And I'm doing a special offer for the East London Business Expo. If you'd like the whole course, that consists of a whole host of videos taking you step by step through every single page and all of the planning, plus worksheets to help you do it. It's on offer for today for £50, which is 75% off. So it gives you all of that access. The QR code's here on the screen. It'll be at my stand downstairs all day. So if that's something you'd like to do, please help yourself. So that's it from me. Any questions from the room? Have I stunned you into silence? No? Okay, great. Well, that's it from me then. Where's Anthony gone? Is he in the room? Have we lost him? Go on. Yes, Cecil. Yes, so just to repeat the question, he was asking for clarification. Is the About page the one that people see second? Yes, go on. So that was the... Okay, so the question then was, does that mean that that page needs to be very concise, or can it be longer? So in a sense, it doesn't matter how long the About page is. It's more important what the content is for that page, and that quite a lot of About pages, there's a short section about this is who I am and why I started my business. There's nothing about the values. There's nothing about the kind of people that that a company works with. What's important to them? An awful lot. It's a statistic. It's a massive statistic. Round about 80% of a buyer's decision is actually based on the values of a company. Think about it when you're buying a cup of coffee. It's 2 coffee shops next to each other. You're going to go for the one that might be more sustainable, or which does better quality coffee because you care about the quality of your coffee, or which is fairer to the farmers, or there'll be a value decision in which of those 2 coffee shops you go to. And it's an incredibly powerful aspect of the About page. So that what you're trying to do with an About page is you're trying to express why somebody would want to work with you and who are the kind of people you want to work with. Because in truth, if their values don't align with yours, you probably don't want to be working with them either. And it's worth being really clear about that really up front. Does that answer the question? Okay. Yeah. Do we have time for one more, Anthony? Yep. Another hand here. Right, okay, so there are actually a lot of website platforms out there that you can use. If you've got absolutely no budget, then actually, if you go to someone like GoDaddy, I use one.com because I happen to like them, the company you go to buy your domain, they will have a basic website builder. It's not going to give you all the whistles and bells, but because you're paying for the domain from them, the cost for the website is relatively low. It's a beginning point if you're an absolutely brand new business. The big platforms, Squarespace is one. WordPress is the other. Those are the two big ones. They are the two that optimize best for Google searches and things like that. They've got all the security in place, and they're most flexible. Most developers will work in one or the other or both. Third player in that market tends to be Wix, which is sort of seen in the sort of the middle ground. It's more of a beginner website, but there are always emerging platforms. If you are something like a coach or you're doing training platforms or anything like that, there are platforms that are all in one. Kajabi, Kartra, Go High Level, and they put all of the training materials into one place. So it's all part of that planning. If you know what your website's going to be used for, it's much, much easier to know which is the right platform for you. It depends on your business. So if you want to come down to the stand later on and have a longer conversation, I can probably steer you in the right direction for where you are and what you need. So that's it from me. Anthony, I shall hand back to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, this is a point in the program where what we do is we give people an opportunity to do a pitch from the stage. So if you